Welcome to tonight's workshop. Before we have the Planning Commission call the meeting to order, we're going to have Antenna just provide an overview of how your headsets work.
Gracias. Hola, buenas noches a todo el mundo.
Hi, good evening, everyone.
Yo soy Betty, ella es mi compañera Alexia y juntas formamos parte de una colectiva que se llama Antena Los Ángeles.
I am Betty, and this is my partner Alexia, and together we are part of a collective called Antena Los Ángeles.
Antena Los Ángeles promueve la justicia del lenguaje a través de Los Ángeles.
Antena promotes language justice throughout Los Angeles.
La justicia del lenguaje es el derecho que todo mundo tiene de hablar, escuchar y entender en el lenguaje en que se siente más cómodo o cómoda.
Language justice is the concept that everyone has the right to speak, understand, and be understood in the language they feel most comfortable in.
Entonces, para la creación de este espacio bilingüe, vamos a pedirle su ayuda en eso.
So for the creation of this bilingual space, we are going to need your help.
Entonces, cuando ven a las dos intérpretes, cuando estemos interpretando atrás o donde estemos, vamos a hacer dos señales para señalar a la persona hablando.
So when you see us interpreting either here or in the back, you're going to see us maybe doing some signals.
Entonces, si me ven o si nos ven haciendo estas señales y me acompañan a hacerlo ahora.
And if you see us doing this, and if you can do it with us right now.
Did everybody hear that?
Did everyone hear that? Yeah.
Entonces, quiere decir a la persona que está hablando que hable más lento porque no podemos alcanzar y no podemos interpretar.
So that means that the person speaking needs to be speaking a little bit slower because we cannot interpret at that speed.
Y si nos ven haciendo estas señales y me acompañan a hacerlo ahora.
And if you see us doing this, and if can everyone do it at the same time?
Quiere decir que por favor más recio, ojalá no exista el problema con los micrófonos, pero es una ayuda.
That means speak a little bit louder in case there's an issue with the mics.
Ahora vamos a probar el uso del equipo, entonces para las personas que están usando el equipo es buen momento para aprenderlo.
So now we're going to try the equipment out for everyone. So for folks here using it, if you can turn it on.
Entonces, nada más para terminar el anuncio, si tienen cualquier problema con el equipo, esto lo vas a... cualquier problema con el equipo, nada más vayan a la mesa donde recogieron el equipo y allí les cambiamos la batería o lo que sea. Si hay otra pregunta, tenemos folletos en la mesa. Muchísimas gracias por participar hoy, por invitarnos a apoyar este espacio. Gracias.
Thank you. Mark?
Yeah.
Okay. Peter.
Are we good?
Have one.
Oh. Well, is this live?
Yeah,
It's on. Well, let me welcome you all to this special meeting of the Planning Commission. It's wonderful to see so many people here, so many people engaged in thinking about their community in the future, and also people who are protesting. They're all part of our community too. And it's going to be a long evening, so just make yourselves comfortable. There is food in the back. Restrooms are on the side. And as they were speaking earlier, be sure to use your machines if you don't understand what's being said, or if it's being said too softly or too loudly. So now I'd like to actually have a roll call here, and starting at this end.
Who's going to call him? Commissioner Anderson?
Present.
Commissioner Fresco?
Here.
Commissioner Lambert? Here. Commissioner Landris?
Here.
And Commissioner Perry?
Here.
Chair Fonda Bernardi?
Here. Thank you. Okay, and now I'd like to turn the meeting over to our planning director, David, if you could come forward. What's that? Yeah. Well, let's wait for him to step down now.
Do we step down? Can we step down?
No, that's right.
Good evening, everybody. I'm just going to turn it over quickly to our city manager, Rick Cole. He's going to give an introduction. So, Rick.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the second zoning workshop This one is focused on Pico Boulevard. It's part of a project that was launched in January for a long time, going back to the city's adoption of our citywide zoning code. There's been a shared understanding in the community and in city government that the Pico neighborhood is a special place, a place with a rich history, a rich cultural diversity, and a special quality of life. And so we made a commitment as a city to undertake a zoning project that would re-examine in a more fine-grained detail and in partnership with the community the zoning code and land use regulations. In January, the council also said this should be part of a broader project that looks at not just land use and zoning, but the broader issues of well-being in our community. We're focused tonight, however, on the zoning and the land use piece, and particularly around Pico Boulevard. But as the presence of our friends from the Pico Neighborhood Association and others who share their concerns in the community demonstrates, there's another issue that we ought not to ignore, and that is that there have been allegations and criminal charges filed against a now former city employee those allegations are shocking, heartbreaking. I want to emphasize that they are criminal charges. He's not yet been arraigned. We have launched, as a city, an independent investigation into the context for those and other allegations that have been made. If you have interest in any of additional information, it is on the table over there, both what the city's doing and how, if you have any information that is relevant either to the criminal investigation or to the investigation into allegations about what the city knew or should have known about these allegations, then please pick up one of these. We encourage you to step forward and talk to either the Sheriff's Department or to our independent investigators from the firm of Atkinson, Andelson, Loya, Rude, and Romo. They are Gabriel Sandoval and Irma Rodriguez-Moisa. I also want to note that this Saturday, and there's information on the table, we'll have the first of a series of meetings in the community to address the issue of child abuse and how we can all work together to prevent that.
How about the cover?
Maria, what are you asking?
Will they also be dealing with a potential cover-up?
Well, that's exactly why we launched an independent investigation, is to find out if such allegations are correct.
Why didn't you go with the independent review? Why a lawyer? Why not the Office of Independent Review?
Risk management.
Okay, so guys, we're going to focus on zoning and land use tonight, and as you know, I met with the president of PNA this morning, school board member Oscar de la Torre, and as we have had, Maria, since the beginning of this project, we've had some productive meetings with PNA. We welcome you back into this process at such time as you think it's appropriate. All right, so let me turn it back over to the Planning Commission and to our city staff. We hope that we can conduct this in a productive way tonight, and we can actually make some progress on things that I think everyone in the room agrees on, which is we face real challenges of gentrification and displacement in our community. I think we can all agree that those are real issues, and I think we can all agree that it's not hard to, it is not easy, I should say, to solve those challenges. So we're all going to have to roll up our sleeves and work together to solve them. All right? So, Mr. Chairman, turn it over to you.
Pico Wellbeing Project is alive! 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 Gentrified! Gentrified!
Nice to meet you.
Bueno, pues muchas gracias por estar aquí. Yo soy Cecilia Tovar y trabajo para la biblioteca de esta ciudad. Vamos a empezar a darle introducción y darle las gracias a ustedes que están aquí presentes. Yo sé que hoy es un poquito tarde, ya está oscureciendo, se siente frío, pero obviamente me da mucho gusto ver los que están participando y que nos van a dar sus sugerencias con este proyecto. Can you go? Oh. Are you gonna go through that? Okay, queremos darle las gracias a todos los grupos comunitarios que anteriormente, así como dijo nuestro Rick Cole, que nos han estado ayudando a darle diseño a lo que es el Pico Wellbeing Project. La colaboración de la comunidad han sido Pico Improvement Plan, Parent Connection Group, Virginia Avenue Park Advisory Board, Familias Latinas Unidas, igualmente Pico Neighborhood Association, que estaban aquí presentes. Quiero pedirle a las personas que estén presentes de estos grupos si gustan venir aquí enfrente y darnos 1 o 2 minutos, unas palabras. ¿Y ellas hablarán en inglés?
Hi and good evening. My name is Janine Jackson. I'm Virginia Avenue Park Advisory Board Chair, and I welcome each of you this evening on this really, hopefully, amazing and eventful night. I came across a quote today that said that the greatness of a community is most accurately measured by the compassionate actions of its members. And that was by Martin Luther King's wife, Coretta Scott King. And as you can see, that tonight there's a lot of compassion and that there's a lot of action being taken. And I want to thank the park, Virginia Avenue Park, and Pico Wellbeing Project for helping us come together, become passionate, and to help our community. Do we want to talk about the Wellbeing Project? One of the things that I'm really excited about is I want to talk quickly about the Wellbeing MicroGrant Projects. We've had, I think, about 8 members that were awarded here, and it's been launching since, I think, September, a lot of projects that have been launching, and it's been really amazing. A lot of people have come out to participate. There's been a lot of community action, a lot of community gathering, and this weekend, we have a luncheon for the African American community and leadership. That's going to be led by Ebenesia Fisher and Shirley Compton. I missed a couple of the other workshops, and I can't remember all of the names, but I think we also have another one coming up where the Ethiopian community and the Latinx community are coming together to do a project. And then in December, I have a project that's coming up called Dessert and Dialogue, and basically it's where we, as a community, Pico community, we will get together over desserts and fruit, and we just talk and have good old-fashioned family fun. We're going to be playing games, and in addition to that, I'm working on creating the first Pico Neighborhood Community Cookbook, where we have community members from all over Pico neighborhood submitting recipes, and if you RSVP and come to the event, you can get a copy of the cookbook. But one of the things that I find really amazing about this project, I've been living here for about 10 years now, is I understand what community means and I understand what diversity means, but I really didn't completely get it until I started working on this well-being project. We have an Ethiopian family member who's actually here tonight with her family. Her name is Abrahet. And her recipe is, she's Ethiopian, but it was an Egyptian recipe that with an Ethiopian twist. And she said, look, I don't have access to the computer, so can you help me? I said, sure, I'm writing the recipe down. But she couldn't really explain how to cook her recipe. So we went into the kitchen And I videotaped her making this amazing dish. And while that was happening, so just imagine this Ethiopian woman is making this Egyptian dish while a Zumba class was happening at the same time. So it was just so amazing, and it's one of the reasons why I love this community so much. This is such a gem in the city that actually I wish other people in Santa Monica really didn't know about, because I don't want to share it. But it is. It's full of culture. It's full of authenticity. It's full of community engagement. It is a village. And I asked her, I said, well, what do you think about the Pico community? And she says, well, my family and I moved here from Ethiopia. We left our family. And we love this community so much because this is our second family. This Pico neighborhood, this park is our family. My family feels safe here. I feel safe here. We learn, we live, we love, and we laugh together. And we all cry together, too. And that's when I knew I'm so happy that I was awarded this microgrant to do this project so that I can share these stories in the cookbook and so that we can have conversations about this. And so if you guys haven't really spent a lot of time during the week in this park, I know a lot of people, I see a lot of familiar faces that I see on Saturday, but if you come here during the week, that's where we have a lot of the golden nuggets and the diamonds here. So I appreciate everyone coming out. I thank you for your hard work, your commitment, your late nights, and helping us make Pico shine in the way that it should. And so now I'm going to pass it to Liz.
Muy buenas noches, mi nombre es Liz Cruz, soy la vicepresidente de la mesa directiva aquí en el Parque Virginia y quiero recalcar un poco de lo que dijo Janine. Primero, normalmente no nos juntamos, no nos reunimos porque la última vez que tuvimos nuestro taller de zonificación, lo que yo salí cuando estaba reflexionando sobre la noche era que todos queríamos tener un espacio de conectarnos, de poder tener nuestros hijos, poder tener un espacio de ¿cómo se dice?, de naturaleza y también tener espacios o negocios que reflejan nuestra comunidad, nuestra cultura. Entonces, les agradezco que estén aquí, sabiendo que sus voces cuentan y cada junta o reunión que haya de aquí en adelante es muy importante que atiendan, y entiendo que hay ahorita desacuerdos, pero hay que respetar el proceso de las cosas que están sucediendo y saber que hay cosas que podemos hacer en comunidad, y si hay cosas que ustedes sienten que necesitamos conectar o saber o tener más conocimiento de, por favor, decirnos, porque otra vez la ciudad y la comunidad siempre estamos al tanto. Es por eso, como dice Janine, que mucha gente se siente segura aquí en el parque, porque es un espacio que, sinceramente, como dijo ella, la señora del microgrant, que dio su receta, es su segundo hogar, y eso he escuchado varias veces. Por eso mucha gente y muchas cosas ocurren aquí en este parque, porque este es el espacio que normalmente a muchas cosas mágicas y cambia el ambiente, no solamente de la familia, sino de la comunidad. So, les agradezco esta noche que estén aquí y muchas gracias por su tiempo.
Okay. Bueno, muy buenas noches. Mi nombre es Sofía Ramírez. Yo también soy parte de las becas que dieron, y mi beca consiste en dar clases de comida, muy cultural, porque estoy haciendo homemade tortillas y estoy introduciendo los farmers market. Estaba muy contento de que estoy haciendo esta clase y me están donando los vegetales frescos. Mi clase no es planeada, en verdad es incluida toda la gente que está presente los sábados. Aquí por la mañana la hago cada otro sábado. Mis estudiantes, se puede decir, mis participantes, son muy diversos porque son de la comunidad afroamericana, americanos, latinos, y yo estoy dando unas encuestas para ver qué piensan de mi clase, qué les gustó, qué no les gustó, si les gustaría ver algo así en nuestra comunidad. Y les explico que mi clase consiste en hacer una conexión aquí en la comunidad, conocernos un poco más quién es mi vecino, de dónde eres tú. Les comparto también, por ejemplo, el sábado pasado hice mole. El mole yo lo aprendí de mi mamá. Mi mamá lo aprendió de mi abuela. Entonces, es muy cultural. La aceptación que he tenido en la comunidad ha sido muy, muy linda, porque he tenido hasta turistas que han venido a visitar y me dicen, no, ¿de dónde eres? Les digo, soy de León, Guanajuato, México. Ellos han visitado Guanajuato, han probado el mole allá y lo probaron aquí, les encantó. Lo hice con mucho cariño. A lo mejor no es igual que el de mi abuela, pero es lo que yo aprendí de mi abuela. Entonces les dije que esto es... que lo he aprendido de mis ancestros y que estoy haciendo esto con mucha pasión, con mucho amor, y en verdad que creo que la aceptación que he recibido es más de lo que yo esperaba. Están muy agradecidos, están muy contentos, y mis estudiantes empiezan desde 1 año, 2 años, 65 años. Es una comunidad muy diversa, no nomás en color de piel, sino en edad. Como les digo, yo esperaba algo bonito de esto, pero estoy recibiendo mucho más aceptación de esto. Farmers Market, los rancheros que traen sus vegetales, les estoy llevando un taco siempre de la receta que yo hago. Les digo, miren, esto es lo que yo hice. De los vegetales que ustedes me dieron, todo es fresco, yo lo hago aquí en la cocina del parque, y estoy llevándoles a los señores lo que hago con los vegetales que me están donando, y están encantados, muy agradecidos, hasta me quieren dar más, y les digo, no, está bien, con eso está bien. Y he dado, en verdad mi clase siempre consiste más o menos entre 15 o 20 personas, pero en verdad he tenido una fila que da vuelta. Entonces yo doy lo que hago con mi receta, lo doy hasta que se acaba. Masa fresca para hacer tortillas, a veces doy pollo, zucchini, cocino lo que sea con los vegetales que ellos me dan. Mi esposo Mario y yo son los que hacemos esta clase, así que yo estoy bien agradecida, estoy muy positiva que esto va a traer algo todavía más bueno para nuestra comunidad, hablando de frescura, hablando de cultura, hablando de conexión. Y bueno, es lo que tengo para la ciudad, especialmente para Catalina, Julie y Becky, que son las que siempre me han apoyado en esto. Estoy muy agradecida. Así que muchas gracias a todos por estar aquí esta noche. Esto es bien bonito, es la primera vez que tenemos algo así, así que sea el primero de muchos. Gracias.
Muchas gracias por su participación.
From the Pico Improvement Organization. I'm Sharon Townley from the Pico Improvement Organization. I think that we've met many of you before, and we are a group of volunteers who manage the nonprofit corporation that's the business district on Pico. We work to support the merchants. We work to support the merchants and also to foster great relationships between the residents in the neighborhood and the businesses on the boulevard. I'm a resident of the Pico neighborhood myself and a business owner, along with most of the other merchants who belong to the Pico Improvement Organization. Some of the projects that we've done here on the boulevard are the landscaping and the median strips, and we're getting ready to put up beautiful, colorful banners all along Pico so that when you come under the underpass, you'll see that you're in an amazing location. That's a fun place to stop and a beautiful neighborhood. We're having a holiday mixer on November 28th that is inviting everyone in the neighborhood, including all of you and all the merchants, to be held at the Elks Lodge. And we would like to celebrate the holidays and the successes on Pico and the neighborhood with you. We also we're planning to take over the music at the Farmers Market on December 8th to have a little holiday celebration there, and we continue to work on ways to improve the neighborhood and the boulevard. One thing that I would encourage you all here today and in the planning meeting, in the zoning meeting tonight, since the Planning Commission is here, is to caution you that planning is sometimes lots of different moving parts, and we all have a vision for what we would like our neighborhood and our businesses to be like, but sometimes we don't have the full picture. So that's why we hire people to do that work for us when we don't have the full amount of education that we need to make all those choices. And I would encourage you to share your vision and allow the Planning Commission and our city to do the work that we've hired them to do. So we're really happy to be here tonight. Thank you for including us.
Muchas gracias. Muchas gracias a todas las personas que vinieron aquí a hablar. Así como dijeron, este es un proceso. Igual como ustedes están aprendiendo, la ciudad y el equipo de Pico Wellbeing Project también estamos aprendiendo. Obviamente las sugerencias que nos dan durante el proceso, desde cuando se inició hasta este punto, creo que me siento orgullosa de decir que hemos tratado de involucrarlos a lo mucho que se pueda y también compartir todas las sugerencias con ustedes y reportar todo lo que ustedes nos han dicho en las juntas. Así es que con eso voy a pasarle el micrófono a mi compañero Peter, que va a darle la presentación completa.
Gracias, Cecilia. Oh, can you both actually? Actually follow my lead.
Yeah.
Muy buenas. Good evening, everybody. My name's Peter, and I'm going to switch gears a little bit away from the beautiful stories that were just shared to talk about zoning. It's my pleasure to do so. But before I dive into that rich content, we thought a really nice way to kind of memorialize the past 6-7 months of activity working on this project would be to report back to you how we've tried to collaborate with the community, how we've tried to unearth some of the golden nuggets, as Janine mentioned, and really lift those up and bring those to the surface for all to see. So we just put together a little bit of a slideshow, a little bit of a mosaic, if you will, of all the different ways, methods, techniques that we've tried to communicate and have a dialogue with the Pico community. You got to go back one, Jing. The community-based organizations that are represented here tonight really are the backbone of this process. We're talking about the neighborhood and the resident associations, the business organizations, those organizations that operate out of the park, guiding the programs and the procedures here, as well as the parent groups that call this place home, whose families this park hosts in a variety of different formats. And through the hard work and the dedication of these teams, they've really supported us in communicating our message and getting the word out that we exist and that we're here to lend a hand. We've popped up at all the various events and festivals around Pico. The clothesline is the method that we've been using to ask just basic questions, basic ones like what's working, what's not, what are your ideas for ways that we can improve quality of life in Pico? And we've gotten hundreds and hundreds of excellent ideas that have not gone into a black hole, that have really resurfaced in this project, have led to the creation of the MicroGrant program, and have helped us develop opportunities for resident-led action in the Pico neighborhood. We haven't just worked with working adults or boards and commissions. We've reached out to the youth to find out what their vision is for Pico. Kids have really great ideas if you give them a chance to design something. So we've spent some time working with the youth resource team here at the park. We've gone into the classroom at John Adams Middle School, and we've done this modeling exercise where we've asked people to really project 20 years later when they're of age to buy a home, to enter the job market, asking them critical questions about their concerns and the barriers that they see in the future, and we're going to try to resolve a few of them through this project. We've gone from the large format workshop like this down to the one-on-ones. Catalina, who's over here in the corner, has been running a coffee chat series, which is a real opportunity to get down in the details with staff, to have more of a personal confrontation with the issues. We've structured these largely around the content of our workshops. So right now the coffee chats are largely focused on zoning and how it affects people's lives. But as we move more into housing and displacement in 2019, those coffee chats will take on those themes as well. So I encourage you to check our website and see where there's opportunities to get together with Catalina and a few others to have those conversations. In addition to working in the community, we've worked inside of our own organization. We've pulled staff from every single department at City Hall to see if they have ideas for ways to improve the very procedures that they regulate. A lot of the stuff that has been put in place over time has been operational for 30, 40 years here in Santa Monica, and we have to ask ourselves, is it still working? So we've brought your concerns to our staff. We've now talked to over 100 of them and have generated nearly 1,000 ideas for how we can make small tweaks, full-scale enhancements to existing programs to improve quality of life in Pico. Of course, we're running a digital platform as well. Our website has a really, really tough web address, but I encourage you to write it down if you can. This is the place where we put all of our information, all of the pictures, all the ideas that are generated from these workshops. Tomorrow morning, we will digitize this workshop and put it online. So if you feel like you didn't get a chance to get it all out tonight during the exercise, there's another opportunity to do that online tomorrow and for the month of December. The website, okay. It is, and you have to type in these exact alphanumeric values, https://picowellbeing.smgov.net. If you have any problem with that whatsoever, I encourage you to take my business card and email me, and then I'll shoot you the link. It's a tough one. We've worked both within the community as well as with the business community. We currently have live a merchant survey, and we're asking them the same type of questions that we ask the residents. What's working? What's not? What are your barriers to success? Sometimes those answers come back, it's the city. The city's the barrier. Your permitting's too hard. Your parking's too hard. We don't know the answers to these questions until people ask them, right? So this is what we're doing. We're kind of just trolling to find out if we are how we can get out of the way, essentially. Chris. Thank you. Yes, the web address is at the bottom of the agenda. And lastly, the core piece where we bring everybody together are these workshops. So we began these in June. We started with our launch event at the end of June. That was really an opportunity to bring the community together to write a collective history of the neighborhood, to identify some of the pain points that have happened throughout time, and then to project 20, 30 years into the future, where do we want to go as a community so that we can begin to form a pathway to achieve some of the great ideas that residents and members of the business community have for Pico. We began the zoning series about a month and a half ago, where we began to educate on the often Byzantine zoning ordinance, providing some detail on the ways that the city works. And when you understand how the city works, then you can work with the city. And when we understand how the city doesn't work, then we can change things. And tonight's a continuation of that. Tonight we're going to get a little bit more into land use regulations and work on a really fun and exciting game to design the future of Pico Boulevard. Now, a lot of folks just spoke about the microgrants, which is this beautiful gem that we have in the program. And the premise is relatively straightforward. It's a small $500 monetary award that is given out to people that, in this particular round, can demonstrate a resident-led project that begins to build and support and connect community members to other community members. It's as simple as that. So 8 awards were given out for a total of $4,000. We're going to be launching a new round in 2019. We are working on what theme that will carry, but again, you're welcome to check our website or reach out to any one of us because it's really all about you. And here's just some photos of all the smiles that $500 can generate. A pretty cool concept. So who wants to talk about zoning? Okay, good. How many people were at our last zoning workshop, by the way? Okay. The committed ones, great. I'm just going to go real fast through like a summary because we have our planning commission here and there's a few hands that didn't go up of what we talked about during the last meeting. And then Amy's going to come in and provide a little bit more detail, dig a little bit deeper into our regulations. Over here on this wall is a depiction of our land use table. There's 93 individual land uses on that chart. The city recognizes 93 different land uses. Each one has different places it can go, different limitations. It gets pretty crazy. And we're going to try to break that down for you tonight. So without further ado, I'll just dive in. The question we posed at the last workshop was, what does zoning do? How does it affect my life? Why do I even care? And we tried to make this premise relatively straightforward. You know, at its core, zoning protects the scale and the character of neighborhoods. It either does or it doesn't. And it does that through things like development standards and setbacks and height regulations and lots of technical detail. But there are rules in place that says you can't just build a skyscraper next to my house. You can't just put a gas station next to my house. Character is really a driving force in zoning regulations. It also addresses public health and safety concerns. So getting back to the gas station example, you know, I don't know if you've noticed, but there's probably not a cement plant next to your house or a sewer plant. That's because zoning regulates where uses can go and where they can't. Lastly, it promotes street life and activity, that sort of pedestrianization that we've been working on a lot here in Santa Monica over the past couple decades. It tries to create active uses on the Boulevard and our downtown. It has certain things that say your storefront windows have to be transparent so we can see inside to create visual access and interest. And it also has standards that govern the way the sidewalk works, its relationship to the street, to the buildings. So all of this, although it may seem like the most natural thing in the world when you're walking down the street, someone has thought very long and hard about how those relationships are put together. One of the exercises we did at the last workshop was to build a childhood memory. And we replicated this exercise at our youth workshops and in some of our coffee chats. And it was really interesting. This is a way that we can start to think about zoning and land use regulations in a completely different manner. If we think about the things that touched us the most in our youth, things like visiting the ice cream parlor back when these were around. I remember when I was a kid, we had an ice cream shop named Lippert's, and you could get a 48 scoop sundae, which, you know, was reserved for birthday parties. It wasn't a daily thing. But I remember that, and that's something I hold, you know, pretty dear, and it's gone now. We're gonna try. Somebody else mentioned getting a haircut at their grandma's salon and just watching that community that was in that place. The women came together to get their hair curled or whatever, but you know, it wasn't just a salon. It was a place where people came to gossip and share stories and you know, talk about each other and the people that weren't there. Somebody else talked about their first exposure to dance, Nutcracker, and they were gone after that, like sold on it. That happened in a local theater down the street. And then lastly, somebody else just talked about the feeling of winning their first soccer game at a park. What these all have in common, these are places. These are places that people go, and these are places that cities across the country have programmed. They've said there are certain parts of the city where we're going to have parks. There are certain parts of the city where we're going to have theaters. On our boulevards, we want to have ice cream shops. On our main streets, we want to have hair salons. Zoning has a role to play in our memories, in how they're created. All of these are land uses. So how do land uses translate to something like that? Well, this is the city's zoning map, right? We showed this last time. There's 31 different zoning districts in the city of Santa Monica. So there's 35 zoning districts in the city of LA. Santa Monica has 90,000 people, LA has 4 million. But that's how we roll in Santa Monica. okay? This is a very detailed zoning map. And there's different colors here represent where the different uses can go. The yellow is the residential neighborhoods, the purples and the pinks are the boulevards, and each one of those districts has a different mix of land uses that are either permitted or not permitted or are possibly permitted if they meet certain conditions. In Pico, there's a total of 6 different districts. There's 3 residential districts. There's the R1, the single unit residential, which is where the houses are. And then there's 2 districts where we have apartments and townhomes and actually a lot of single family homes as well, known as the R2 and the R3. Our commercial districts are split into neighborhood commercial, which is sort of like a small, meant to be more Main Street-y district where we have restaurants and some offices and very walkable place. The mixed use, or general commercial, I'm sorry, is the area that's down near Lincoln Boulevard in the gray here. It's kind of like neighborhood commercial, but it permits auto as well. And then there's the district that enjoys the sexiest title, which is Mixed Use Boulevard Low, which is akin to the other districts, but it's for slightly larger uses, and it's really designed to accommodate more housing, which I think we can all acknowledge we're in desperate need of here in Santa Monica. So that's just a quick primer on what we learned last time. Before I go to you, Angel, I just want to say that we had an opportunity to reflect upon on what we designed for Pico Boulevard in our last workshop. And these are some of the ideas, things like ethnic boutiques and mental health facilities, shops, restaurants. The list goes on and on and on. But really what it gets to is people want a complete neighborhood. They want to be able to access goods and services in a way that's possibly walkable or bikeable or busable from their neighborhood. They don't want things to be too big. They don't want things to be too small. But they had a vision for Pico that is a really great starting point for tonight's exercise. And so I hope that the exercise we've designed pulls that out of you. And I hope you have a really good time. And I hope that you open your imaginations to what could be as opposed to simply what is right now. Angel.
My question was just, what was that map the result of? Like, what were the processes that went into kind of how that map looks today? Like, you see certain areas of Santa Monica, particularly residential, you see other areas where renters are, et cetera. Like, how did that, what informed that? I'm just curious to know, like, the landscape of Santa Monica, the duality, right, the tale of two cities.
Yeah.
Historically, certain areas are disenfranchised, right? Like, what? How did we arrive there, right? So how do these zones get agreed on? Who dictates that, et cetera? I'm just curious.
Okay. Well, I'll give it a shot. I don't know the full story. I don't go back 100 years, but you know, the zoning map is ever changing. In fact, the last time it changed was just 3 years ago, as we went through a very elaborate process to work and negotiate with the community for where those different colors of the map fell. Typically, the zoning map reflects the current attitude of the day. These days, you know, as we are more urban, as we have more influence brought upon us by things like the Expo Light Rail, you know, the city reconfigures its zoning map to accommodate more housing or more jobs. They put the car uses on one street to get them away from the other streets. You know, it's just constantly moving around. In the past, there's been a lot of, I think what you're alluding to is redlining and you know, the sort of discriminatory practices of zoning, which is the truth. There was a time when zoning was used almost as a weapon to keep the haves away from the have-nots. There's lots of urban planning theory that talks about, you know, the single-family zones. You know, that's a place that's like a sacred zone for people that have the cash to have a pocket of peace in Santa Monica, while the rest of us are in apartments stacked 4 floors high. So again, I don't have the full story, but it is a very dynamic process. And here we are again at a moment in time when we're thinking about a change to Pico Boulevard. Because the community has a different set of values than they might have a decade ago or 2 decades ago. So that's what it's all about. Yes, sir.
Are these zoning maps available online or?
Yes, all of our zoning maps are available on the city's website, or I'm happy to give you my business card and I can email it to you if you'd like to check it out. Actually, my business cards are used to prop up that projector right now, so I can't give you one. Yes, sir.
I understand also that the zoning is not only for the ice cream parlors or the haircuts and the streets and the trees. It's also for representation of the people of different districts. And I understand that 3 years ago was passed some laws about changing the district, and till now, on that sense of representation, they was not implementing. So what's happening with that part of the
I think there may be a little confusion between the neighborhood, the political boundaries of the neighborhood districts and the zoning districts and the proposed electoral districts. Districts, you know, the zoning district is decided and adjudicated by the city council. It is a very lengthy process to arrive at a beautiful mosaic like that. As Rick mentioned at the beginning of this meeting, the City Council gave us the direction to look specifically at Pico Boulevard and the residential area north to the freeway to see if there were any zoning changes that we could implement to bring relief to the perception or the felt awareness of gentrification and displacement in the area. And that's in fact the work that's in front of us right now. We're simply working on the commercial piece right now before we dive into the residential piece.
But that, you don't see that that separates the Pico neighborhood in general, in total? By doing that, you are dividing the Pico neighborhood.
Well, our focus is really on working on zoning remedies that affect people where they live. And by and large, the residential population of Pico is the 10,000 people that make up this neighborhood exist between the 10 freeway south to Pico Boulevard and between Lincoln and Centinela. So we feel that we are serving the community in the best way that we can by running this process in this way.
Last thing I want to say is I appreciate your work. I love to live in Santa Monica for 26 years, but I believe that the people that are outside should be inside, included by you. We
have done everything we can to invite them. We have everything we could do. We have done. They've made the decision to be outside right now. I'm going to pass the mic to my colleague Amy, who's going to spend some time talking about land use regulations.
Thank you, Peter. Again, my name is Amy Miller. I also work with the City Planning Division here, and I'm going to get into a little bit more detail about our land use regulations and with some case studies to see how this happens in reality. So first, we have our land use table, which Peter referenced. We have a copy over here, which details everything, all of the uses. And the way this works is we can see here the different columns for our different commercial districts: mixed-use Boulevard Low, general commercial, and neighborhood commercial. And then there's the whole list of uses. And the table tells you if it's allowed, yes. If it's not allowed, no, or maybe it's allowed, but with some conditions or extra permits that you'd have to have. So where you see a P, that means yes, this is permitted. Where there's an L with a number, that means maybe you have to go look at the table note for that number to see what are those special rules that apply. A lot of them have to do with location, so maybe it's allowed on the upper floors, but not the ground floor, or the size. It can only be up to a certain size, no larger than that. And the other thing you see here is CUP, stands for Conditional Use Permit. This is another maybe, where you might be able to do it, but you have to go through another process. You have to apply for a permit, go before the Planning Commission, and have approval that way. Or you see a dash, that means no. So this is just not allowed. However, these things change over time. And land use regulations are a reflection of a community's values. They're always changing, and that's what we're here about tonight, to hear from you about what are your community values and how should we regulate these land uses. So I'm going to go over a couple case studies, some places that you might be familiar with, to see how this works in the real world. So we're going to start at Engler Brothers. This was a long-time family-owned business for over 70 years. This was a retail store selling auto parts. When they went out of business last year, looking for a new tenant, somebody came up, a indoor playground called My Gym. The land use defines this as a small-scale facility. Well, here at this location, that's a maybe. That requires a conditional use permit, which has a over $19,000 application fee that then would have to go to the Planning Commission. So it's a very high bar for a lot of small businesses, and the parking standards are very high for small-scale facilities. They would have needed to find 37 additional parking spaces. So with that in mind, unfortunately, they were not able to go in. So another tenant stepped up, Tower 20 Interiors. This is another retail store. And the way the zoning works, if somebody's coming in and replacing a very similar business, it's very easy to go in. Sort of a like for like. So that was able to go in. It was a permitted use. It did not require any additional parking. So next to Whole Foods 365. This was actually approved under the prior zoning code, and under that, it was categorized as a general retail. It fell under the same category as the 99-cent store or Trader Joe's. And so this was permitted, it was able to go in. Now today, we have actually some different uses, and this would be classified as a general market, something that would be a food store, supermarket store. And actually under the current code, there's a limit of 15,000 square feet. The Whole Foods is actually a little bit bigger than that. So if they were to apply under current standards, they would have needed a conditional use permit to go in. Now, one other thing to keep in mind with Whole Foods is that zoning sees this as a general market. It doesn't see what type of food you sell. It doesn't see how expensive it is. It doesn't see a brand name. It just sees, are you selling food? And that's basically it. So next, we're going to look here at 2802 Pico Boulevard. This is a 100% affordable housing development. Has 33 apartments on 4 stories. And now, because this is on Pico Boulevard, it's a commercial boulevard, and that requires an active use at the ground floor. Now, the Community Corporation of Santa Monica is very good at producing affordable housing. It's not a commercial retail operator, and so it's been very challenging to fill that space. It's been vacant for a while. So this opens a question of, should we rethink, what does active use mean? How does this work for an affordable housing development? So here's some questions to think about for our activity tonight. Okay, so now it's going to be your turn. I'm going to turn it over to Cecilia to explain the activity that you all have in front of you.
Muchas gracias. Ok, y la explicación la voy a hacer en español. Enfrente de ustedes tienen un póster grande. Si por favor lo extienden y lo ponen en su mesa. Igualmente tienen estos sobres. Cada uno de los sobres tiene un título y color. Tienen un sobre rojo que dice comida y bebida. Bueno, uno azul que dice servicios sociales, cuidado de la salud y públicos. El verde, artes, entretenimiento y recreación. El rojo, oficina. Y el azul, negocios, minoristas, servicios y hospitalidad. ¿Ok? Lo que van a hacer es, cada uno de los sobres tiene 30 tarjetas con descripciones del uso de suelo. ¿Ok? Y lo que van a hacer ustedes es que van a poner, lo van a leer y van a decir, sí, quiero un 7-Eleven o quiero una gasolinería, lo van a poner en sí. No, no quiero una gasolinería ahí o no quiero un restaurante. Y quizás son aquellos que, bueno, hay límites o en su grupo no se están dando, no vienen no están de acuerdo con mutuamente y hay ciertas limitaciones y ahí va en el quizás. En su póster hay una área donde dice notas, ahí van a escribir por qué tienen dudas o por qué están quizá. No tienen que hacerlo si no quieren, pero ahí hay esa información, lo que ustedes pongan aquí, este es el momento para ustedes hacer las reglas de lo que quieren en su Pico Boulevard. ¿Alguna pregunta? Ok, y gracias, Amy. También van a tener 2 tarjetas libres que no tienen ninguna descripción y esas ahí es donde ustedes van a poder escribir lo que les gustaría ver, a lo mejor algo que no incluimos en todas estas tarjetas que tienen en los sobres. ¿Ok? Lo que vamos a hacer es recoger toda esta información, vamos a regresar, lo vamos a analizar, pero esta es la oportunidad para ustedes que vean y platiquen entre ustedes el por qué quieren verlo en su Pico Boulevard, por qué sí o por qué no. Y tus comentarios, después vamos a regresar en los grupos y cada uno van a seleccionar una persona que pueda dar un mini reporte que decidieron hacer. ¿Ok? Tienen 30 minutos para completar este ejercicio. Aquí van a ver el reloj. Y cada uno de nosotros estaremos en las mesas por si tienen algunas preguntas. ¿Okay? Las calcamonías que tienen ahí, las calcamonías azules son para que...
There was some great conversations happening around. I'm really happy to see everyone was having fun with the game. I want to thank Z Garden for the food, and I think it was Local for the coffee, right, for tonight. And so what we're going to do is we're going to go around the room. If every table chose or appoint someone to report out, what we want to look at is, what are the uses, what's in your yes column, what was in the no column, and what was, what are some of the yes, okay, could be okay with some conditions. So we're going to start over on right here, this end, just right here? Yeah. So
Can we bring it up?
Can we pin it up here on the front just so everybody can see what you did?
I think it will.
All right. Did you want to come up? Okay, so Laura's going to share with us, some of the thoughts that the table had about land uses. There you go.
So the thing we would like to see mostly have to do with small-scale neighborhood businesses. Vita mentioned she really would like to see a bowling alley because the old one closed and she used to always go with her family. And other than that, we pretty much put in the yes zone all the small scale stuff that's creative and community oriented, and put in the no big general retail, large restaurants, liquor stores, auto sale, general personal services, hotels and motels, some of those because we have enough of that, and some of them because they just don't fit the neighborhood scale that we'd like to see. Convenience markets, definitely no. And the maybes were, well, if we need this fire station, obviously we'll take it, but if not, it's again like a big scale, kind of not walkable. And then the medium restaurant is a maybe, just depends on the scale. And yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. So there we go. On that one, a lot of focus on small scale, walkable. Interesting to see whether that theme continues. Would you guys like to come up and share your chart? You're all going up? All right.
I'm going to sit back down, actually.
There you go.
Okay. Okay.
So we also thought the small scale was important, making it pedestrian friendly. We would really like to see more cafes and bakeries and maybe things that you could sit outside and eat and walk to. Small businesses. Let's see, I think I kind of more like allow more things and then kind of more maybes here. And I hate saying no, but this is mostly because of, again, like the like being a really large-scale facility. There's already a hotel, and then the public safety. It's just that it seems like it would require a lot of space. Anything else, Melina?
Pedestrian friendly and conducive to small businesses.
Yeah.
I just said it'd be great to have the whole boulevard be cohesive and pedestrian friendly and conducive to small businesses and independent cafes and restaurants.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, should we come over here? All right. Are you the only one left? Yeah, I guess it's you and Chris.
You want me to do? Yes, on adult daycare, we feel that people should be taking care of the elders, and definitely yes. And a social service center. And we put a note to that saying that for small restaurants, no corporate. Wait. Oh, small restaurants. Oh, that was note number one. Affordable.
No corporate.
Affordable wide range of services. When social service center, we said yes. Restaurants, we said no corporate large restaurants, only small ones. Yes, we said a commercial kitchen, and our note saying have it affordable for, available for the community to use, so they can make stuff and maybe sell it at the farmer's market. We said yes on general market, but we said make it an affordable market, not real fancy like Rodeo Drive. Medium restaurants, we said yes. Physical training, we said yes. And we said make sure that it's affordable. Culture facility, yes. Small scale facility, we said yes, but make sure it's affordable for the youth and have it fun. Because we have to take care of the youth too, because they're our future. Nursery, garden center, we said yes. We said that we want to have gardening classes, and we want to have community gardens, not individual plots, community gardens. We want to have fruit trees there. We said yes on creative office. So we said affordable creative office. And we said yes on office, medical and dental, affordable also. We don't want some high-end medical center there. We definitely said no on
80,000 square foot.
Oh yeah, let me go up here. We said no for the elderly long-term care because we would have a couple of those over here. We said no to large restaurants because we just don't want a big restaurant here. We said no to child care education because we would have plenty of child care education in this area. We said no convenience stores. We said no more bars. No more liquor stores. No more artist sales and services. We said no to general, what is it? General retail, small scale. We said no to general retail, medium scale. We said no to general personal services. We said no hotels. We said no business services, no office business professional. And we said maybe to large-scale facility for like a gym or a racquetball or some type of bowling alley. We said maybe. And we said maybe for public safety. And we said maybe, because we want to worry that, we're protected, like if the homeless community moves in, we want to make sure that we could be publicly safe here. We said maybe to instructional services, as long as it's affordable. We said, no, we don't need a grooming pet store. And we said, no, we don't need, what is that? A walk-in clientele. Walk-in, we don't need that. Oh, walk-in offices. In our notes, we also, we want Pico Boulevard lined with fruit trees, like avocado, persimmons.
As long as it's affordable.
As long as everybody can take them.
Great. Thank you. I think the theme there was affordable. All right. Can we come here?
Oh, I'm sorry.
All right. All right, let's this up.
Is that it?
Yep. Yeah, it's okay. Here you go.
We kind of, first off, did an overall, did some overall thinking on what kind of things we found that were needed, what kind of things we found that were needed, what kind of services and businesses that we felt were covered either already in this area or very, very nearby. So we had a focus on size, looking at the smaller boutique size kinds of places, looking at small restaurants, looking at small commercial kitchens, since obviously with the grant program, that seems like a very popular thing right now and a good way to connect community. We changed our garden center to a community garden, again, connecting community, and community gardens are such a wonderful thing, and it's so hard to get into them. We focused on some retail type facilities with an art or like a health kind of focus. And and we were really confused why there were no housing options. We felt that there should be some sort of housing options.
Cool. Right over here. All right, ready? Here, you can start talking.
Okay, I'm not going to go through every single use. This was really interesting, even though Santa Monica, as Peter explained, has like an enormous number of land uses, because that's how we roll. We found that even within a single land use category, it was hard to make a decision sometimes because not every store, not every shop, not every use is created equal. We end up saying no for liquor store, but that was actually hard because what if there was just a really cool craft beer store or a really neat locally owned rare wine store? That could count as a liquor store maybe, but it's part of that category we end up saying no to. In general, we try to, like many of you, say yes to really active uses that are pedestrian friendly. We end up saying yes to office spaces, but we put the note above the first floor so that the ground floor is reserved for walk-friendly, pedestrian-friendly active uses. And then our maybe category was filled with uses that we either just disagreed on because we found that people have really different opinions on sort of the same subject, or things that we thought might work on Pico Boulevard but should get a harder look either by the Planning Commission or somebody else, like a large-scale facility or maybe a large restaurant.
Who's next? Come on in. Hey, guys. Watch out.
Hello?
Just hold it up.
Okay. All right, so very similar to other people, we were very interested in smaller places, also places that activated foot traffic on Pico Boulevard, got people interested. So cultural facilities, absolutely. Social services, we think that's necessary. Grooming and pet store, we just realized it said retail sales of animals, so we want small animals. No horses in the pet stores, right? So fish and birds, I think, is what we came up with. Medium, small-size restaurants as opposed to large restaurants. A general market, small. We wanted more night, like a nightclub, but we put down live music places. It would be nice to have some live local music available on Pico Boulevard. Rooftop community gardens. So land use is very sparse on Pico Boulevard, so maybe some rooftop gardens would be great. Affordable public parking. We added sort of our own stuff in here that we thought that Pico Boulevard might need. So affordable public parking would be lovely. So no on large-scale facilities, large restaurants. We thought childcare, there's enough on childcare, and no more hotels, motels, auto sales, no more 7-Eleven, that kind of thing. No more liquor stores. I think that was a common theme. Some maybes. So some of the businesses that might need to be on upper floors, like other people mentioned, like the physical training to be on an upper floor, nursery, garden center, maybe. You know, there's a couple of them around Santa Monica already. Let's see, walk-in clientele offices. All right, you know, it doesn't really activate foot traffic, but, you know, who knows. And I think that is about it. Give everybody a break.
Thank you. Let's come over around this side. Saw some lively debate happening on this one.
Let us pray.
Here you go.
We're going to let her talk. And I'll talk too, but.
Oh, you talk.
I'll say what I don't know.
Disclosure. We looked at the stuff that we already have.
Yeah.
Okay? And that's where we went from, okay? Of the stuff that we already have. And then we tried to go from there, okay? Yes to, we need a travel agency, okay? We need to have commercial kitchens. We need to have Mercado General. We need to have a nursery, a community, okay? We need to have a dry cleaning place because we don't have any. We need to have adult daycare. We have some programs here, but we need to expand them somewhere else, not only here. We need to have elderly long-term. We only have one on Pico Boulevard, and that is, for all of you that don't know it, it is between McDonald's and the Wiener Schnitzel, okay? That's the only place that it is, and it's exceedingly expensive. We need to have something that is affordable. We need to have a general retail medium sales store. We definitely need to have that. All of us have been asking for it here in Santa Monica, so if nobody else wants it on their terms, it's okay. We can have it on ours, okay? We need a cultural facility aside from the Virginia Avenue Park. This is an awesome hub, but we need to have a theater. We need to have a movie theater. We need to have somewhere where we can go and have fun, okay? We need to have a dancing place with variety of live music. We need to have affordable physical training. This one says that it's for 5 or fewer, but guess what? 5 or fewer is not affordable. We need to have creative offices. Yes, we need to do that. Not only for us, but also for our kids, okay? And we already spoke about the movie theater, okay?
Movie theater.
Movie theater, slice theater, yes. I know that a lot of you are probably gonna say, there's one at SMC. Guess what? It's not community, okay? So let's find something for the community. Okay, for the nose, no large restaurants. No bars. We don't need any more bars. We don't need any more liquor stores. We don't need any convenience markets. We don't need any sales cars, places around here. Small restaurants, we have a few of them on Pico, okay? No hotels and motels. We don't need any business services. We don't need any grooming pets. Sorry, we have one already on Pico. Some of you don't know where it is? It's across the street from the cemetery, okay? Oh, okay, well then let's make that one affordable, okay? All right, okay, we'll push that one to be affordable, okay? All right, instructional services. We also have a lot of instructional services here at Virginia Avenue Park, okay? And unless they are affordable anywhere else, we don't want them here, okay? Office and businesses professionals. No, I think we're gonna go for a no with that one. Small scale facilities, no. Social services, we have plenty here at, on Pico. We don't really need any more. Medical rentals, no, I think we're good. Installations, fire stations, no, I think that we have plenty around the city, okay, and we really don't have the space for that one, okay? Let's go with the maybes. We got 3. We have medium restaurants, maybe a scale retail store, and childcare early education must be affordable anywhere in our city. Anywhere in our city. Okay? And I think that she's got some others.
So we all did all of this together. I'm just going to go through some of the notes of some of the things that stood out to me. One of the main notes, and Anna just said it, is, can you hear me now? No. Okay. Is the social services right here. This is something that I have an issue with because I live behind on 20th and Pico, very close to Eddie's. There's a, I forgot the name, supportive housing, i.e. whatever else you want to call it. But there's one right at the alley, and there's one right behind Burger King. And I have small kids, and everyone else does, that has to walk through the alley up and down the street, and there's people smoking, drugs, all sorts of things are happening around by our kids. I don't understand how something like that could even take place with the big SMC right there. Just even that right there makes no sense. My son walks to John Adams. There's kids walking to all of these schools, Grant's here, Edison's this way. That needs to go somewhere else. It's nothing against the people, it's just a wrong place. It's placed wrong. And then, what else? Definitely the commercial kitchen. Anything that's going to benefit the whole of the Pico community, we need. And that's affordable. And that brings out people that have talents. The MicroGrants is showing that. People have talents, and it could be utilized, turned into a business. Okay, so I had no idea Boulevard was closing. We need Boulevard, but it needs to go downtown. So a lot of these no's, just hop on the 7 bus and go downtown. If you want to eat, if you want to drink, all of that is downtown. It's not far. 7-Elevens, no, we don't need any of that. Let's see. Downtown, 4th, yes. Just hop on the 7. There's so much restaurants and stuff down there. We don't need anything else in Pico. It needs to be more of a community. We don't need more stores. We need our kids. But it's closing. They said it's closing. And that's it. Yeah, we just heard that it was closing. I had no idea until right now. So we want that because that's a nice place to go with your kids.
Then we get to know what's closing.
And that's it.
All right, thank you.
All righty. We coming here? Oh, we did that. We're back here. All right, Robbie, you ready? All right, you ready, Robbie? Here you go, Robbie.
Hey, I don't know where my team is. Where's my team? My team just threw me up here. Okay, so basically, we agree with all of that, okay? So we pretty much, anything in our community should be affordable. We believe in accessibility, so we don't want to go downtown for everything, but, so we did kind of want, you know, maybe a 1-7-Eleven or something like it. You know, for people who, well, we went, let me just say, before y'all start, we went from the perspective that nothing was on Pico. How would we redesign Pico if nothing was there? So we went with a lot of y'all's stuff. Okay, so it was good. We agree with all of that. I'll just go with some of the no's. Commercial kitchens, we thought, okay, business park, we got business park for a lot of the business and professional stuff. So we went with maybe instructional services, childcare, auto sales, all of that, liquor stores maybe. You know, we could do with a nice wine or beer liquor store or what, something like that. I just want to say, though, I really want to look at this, and I get Rand Corporation for this sometimes. I don't like to call things that I'm participating in that are real life situations games. This is real to me. I remember 20 years ago doing the same exact thing when my son was 9 years old. He's 31 now. And a lot of stuff that we had put up on boards and talked good about did not come to pass. And it doesn't make me feel so good. It makes me wonder why I don't have a lot of my community members here, because they feel it's a waste of time. But, good note, I do like this workshop better than the last one. I think it makes me feel a lot better, like something may happen. Okay, Peter? All right. So basically, my group didn't do any notes, Donna, but we agree with, you know, most of what everybody said. I mean, you guys know our community. We've been saying the same thing for years. Right, Irma? A lot of the same stuff. So basically, we just need some affordable stuff, some good stuff. We want to just keep our community well, and I can't wait to participate in the housing piece. Yes. Thank you.
Thank you. Saving the best for last. Are you ready? Okay. Anyone coming up? Oh, thanks. Gotcha. Sorry. Oh, something fall off? Yep, we got it. There we go.
Lo voy a hacer en español. Sí. ¿Luego? Dijimos que sí en los servicios empresariales. Dijimos que sí en el mercado general. Y esto va conectado con un mercado latino que queremos con precios accesibles. Dijimos que sí a los servicios de médico y dental. Dijimos que sí al centro de servicio social. Dijimos que sí a las ventas minoritarias. Dijimos que sí a las tiendas de aseo de mascotas. Y junto con esto, también con las mascotas, también se integró un lugar para entrenar a los perros. Se dijo que sí a una clientela sin cita previa. Dijimos que sí a un restaurante pequeño porque pensamos que a lo mejor alguien de la comunidad quiere hacer un restaurante y iniciamos con un restaurante pequeño. Quizás sea un restaurante mexicano, quizás un salvadoreño, quizás un latino, o quizás de otra nacionalidad, pero empezamos siempre en pequeño. También tenemos el cuidado geriátrico. Esto es para cuando nosotros lleguemos a estar más viejitos. También dijimos que sí a las instalaciones culturales porque es importante que nos divertamos. Dijimos que sí a los servicios generales y personales porque necesitamos arreglarnos nuestro cabello, necesitamos arreglar nuestro vestido o nuestros pantalones. Dijimos que sí al cuidado de los adultos. Es importante que tomamos en cuenta que tenemos personas adultas y que también nosotros vamos a ser adultos. Ese es un cambio de la vida. Dijimos que sí a la cocina comercial. Dijimos que sí a las oficinas empresariales. ¿Por qué razón? Porque a veces nosotros necesitamos de algún servicio, como por ejemplo legales o financieros o cosas que necesitamos. Entonces dijimos que sí. Dijimos que sí a los lugares donde dan entrenamiento físico porque necesitamos hacer ejercicio. Es muy importante para nuestra salud. Dijimos que sí a la guardería infantil porque también hay que tomar en cuenta a los niños pequeños. Y dijimos que sí a las instrucciones, los servicios instruccionales, porque es una manera de cómo podemos nosotros aprender acerca de la música y hacer otras cosas que nosotros podemos aprender. Lo que dijimos nosotros que no fue a los restaurantes grandes porque ocupan mucho espacio, necesitan un gran estacionamiento también, tráfico. Dijimos que no a las instalaciones de gran escala, por lo mismo la gran magnitud que están grandes. Dijimos que no a las licorerías. Dijimos que no a las... déjeme ver cómo se lee aquí esto. A las ventas minoritarias generales, escala mediana. Lo mismo pensando en el espacio. Hoteles y moteles no lo necesitamos. Tenemos mucho espacio y también nosotros no lo necesitamos. Clubes nocturnos, no. Servicios de autos y venta de autos. También ya tenemos esto en el área y esto ocupa más espacio. Dijimos que no a las instalaciones de pequeña escala. Dijimos que tal vez a los lugares donde venden plantas, también tal vez a los restaurantes medianos, a las oficinas creativas tal vez, a los departamentos de bomberos tal vez, y a los mercados del 7-Eleven. Quizá. Tal vez. De aquí también tengo dos más. De aquí el servicio, pensamos que es importante que tengamos un lugar donde se pueda acudir para servicios mentales, para los jóvenes, para los niños, para los adultos. Y también pensamos que es importante que nosotros tengamos un espacio donde se pueda aprender inglés. Eso es lo que nosotros sacamos en conclusión.
Give yourselves a round of applause. That was awesome. So just Peter's been taking notes here and just taking a look at, I think we saw some themes that came across every table, clearly a preference for small scale uses, and what's, sort of tying that together, thinking back to the beginning of the workshop when we were talking about your favorite childhood memory and places that people can gather and develop even more memories. And I think that's what we're seeing here in terms of the overwhelming preference for these sorts of community gathering places, whether it be restaurants, commercial kitchens, where people can come together and sort of apply their trade, physical training, cultural, cafes, restaurants. That's, I think, we definitely see a theme emerging there. In terms of the no's, you can see the check marks for clearly no liquor stores, no. Auto-oriented uses, hotels is something we heard a lot about. Not a lot of preference for large-scale uses. That's another theme that we saw emerging there. Business services, so you can see the ones that showed up most commonly. Interesting list here of the maybes. We think, okay, that could be something we could look at, but with special conditions. Bowling alleys, public safety, I think fire stations we heard about 3, 4, 5 times across the boards on there. Gardening center, childcare, liquor, but nice liquor, not bad liquor. And fancy liquor, yeah, I don't know. Convenience markets. These are not unusual in terms of the zoning ordinance of things that you'd like to regulate, just because of the kinds of impacts that they might have on surrounding uses. Another thing that I think, a theme that we saw is the affordable. And, you saw in the presentation that zoning is blind to the level of affordability or who that use is. And I think that's a great segue to, we're really reaching out to you for your ideas for future workshops. We've sort of programmed these first two for the zoning arc in terms of dealing with land uses on the commercial boulevard. We're going to move into housing, displacement, and gentrification. But in terms of looking at affordability, if you have ideas for future workshops as to, what we can do for affordability, because again, zoning only has limits on that. There are definitely other programmatic ways that we can shape, affordability and, what kinds of uses might actually, or what kinds of operators might show up in their incentives and the like, or even existing small businesses. So, I want to make sure that it's something that comes out of there is that, the uses here are definitely great feedback from the exercise today, but these are sort of little qualifiers, on there that might go beyond land use and zoning, and that's where, we're going to continue to look to you to work with you on those ideas. Does anyone want to share any thoughts about kind of what you're seeing here? Agree, disagree? Should we move some things from one column to another? Yeah, Irma?
I just want to touch on the affordable that you said, because it keeps coming up. I think there are ways that still kind of within zoning apply within affordability. Like, for instance, there's certain exceptions that you allow community corp to go ahead and bypass, and there's exemptions so that they can build affordable housing. And so if there's businesses that come up in the yes that do want to come in, that you all find a way to make, if they're going to go ahead and be affordable services, that you all also do some exemptions, whether it's, the application fee, like $19,000 for an application fee you mentioned, like that's crazy, right? What small business, a family owned, is going to be able to do that? So I think you need to, while you're saying, that's beyond zoning, I don't necessarily believe that it's really all beyond zoning. I think you need to look at other ways that you're allowing others to be exempt and so forth, and then apply those practices to this process as well.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for that comment. Yeah. Oh, I'm just going to come here.
Just in observing and hearing everybody's feedback, I just feel from the first workshop to today's workshop, I think it's consistent in terms of people just wanting to be a part of and reflect a lot of who they are and their culture, and that's why what I heard also, like a lot of small businesses, is also to give opportunity to our residents who have, as we mentioned through the microgrants, to have opportunities to be able to expand, if you will, or have access to being able to have businesses, or through commercial kitchens, or through different ways that we can really utilize Pico Boulevard, because it is a corridor, and it's definitely, I forgot the stats that you guys shared last time, but it's reflective of the Pico neighborhood. And if we can have residents to have, whether it's, again, small restaurants, ethnic boutiques, fitness centers, where we had talked about, because that's one of the things that I know in the report card, it mentioned how many people in the Pico neighborhood issues with depression and things of that nature. So if we can be really thoughtful and really, like Irma said, of trying to make exceptions or ways to be creative, and how can we really mitigate and really practice what we preach, that even though things may be a certain way, there's always room for change, and if it isn't really reflective of our community, because I think that's where what we mentioned earlier, someone mentioned earlier, the gentrification piece, is being able to make exceptions and allow for things to happen, to allow for people to feel inclusive and a part of, because I think that's why people feel like the Pico neighborhood is their home and they're connected and want to be a part of that process. Thank you.
Thank you. And Sean, you had a question?
I have a question for the group. I'm looking at the no and the yes, and for example, I see no more social services on one side, and I see yes, social services on the other. So while we're all in the room, I was wondering if people had ideas about the kinds of social services that they didn't want to see and the kinds that they did want to see, and if there are any other categories where they're showing up both on no and yes, just so that we can understand more what the people in this room are concerned about, so that we as planning commissioners have clarity from the community.
Great. Yeah. Thank you.
Once again, I would say any services that are going to bring a negative impact into the community close to where the schools lie, just need, not that they can't be in Santa Monica, but they don't need to be in the Pico neighborhood, because there's just too many kids and things happening. And so that would be my no.
I saw it.
Yeah, I think there, in my 61 years here, there has always been a concern about too many of the same thing in Pico neighborhood. Everything that is negative or seems to have a negative connotation, you dump it in the Pico neighborhood, in our backyard, front yard, or side yard, or whatever. So yeah, I would think too much centralized in this neighborhood is not good. People have been saying that for years. I have a little different thought on when I think about convenience stores, because I remember as a college student being able to run to the store and pick up something before class, not having to go to the student store where it was much more expensive, was convenient. And I remember as a young mother being able to run, to the corner or somewhere and get some diapers or something, even though it was a little more expensive than the market, but it was closer. So having a market or a convenience store, something close in the community, is a necessity. I just think too much of anything is just not good.
You know what? I agree with Robbie and Stacy as well. I think a lot of times some of the social services, they saturate our areas with a lot of individuals that are dealing with a lot of mental health and stuff like that. So, I understand when you talk about, it being like in this one area, because I've seen it where I'm somewhat frightened to even walk past it. So I can imagine a young girl walking past there or something like that. So I think, it's okay to have services, but when you have large buildings that are saturated with, individuals that have serious, and we're not talking about sick or, serious mental health issues. I understand where they do have a problem with it. So that's one thing I wanted to say. But also I wanted to say when it comes to youth, and you're talking about social services, I feel like some of our youth, there's just really nothing here for them. And you always want to say, oh, there's Virginia Avenue Park. But Virginia Avenue Park does not reach out to all the kids. And so in regards to our youth, I feel like sometimes our youth, they have to go out to other places, or they just have to relocate, and there's just nothing here for them. So I would like to see more here for them. And, even with the housing, as soon as they turn 18 and get into school, there's nowhere for them to go. And I don't think it's fair that our kids cannot live in the place that they were born and raised. It's just not right. And you're, once again, saturating our cities with people who have not, contributed to any of Santa Monica. So I have a problem with that.
Thank you. Oh, Irma.
So I'm going to echo also the mental health services, but there is one thing that just came to mind, and that is that, we have a lot of services that are provided around in the city, but what we don't have is one central place where we can provide the information for everyone to come and get it. So maybe that might be one of the things that we could provide, okay? Where we have a central office where everybody could come and obtain information on where to go in order for them to get these services.
So thank you. Some great points raised there about, and it's really, I think, seeking into some of our upcoming workshops on housing. We will be delving quite deeply into the topic of housing, precisely issues like that, where the city has a lot of resources, there's a lot of agencies that provide services, whether in terms of housing or otherwise. And, you're right, there is no sort of centralized place where someone can go to understand how all of that works together. We understand that from the outside it's just government, and we need to, I think, flip the way, that sort of information is provided and presented to the community. So look forward, to that invite as our next event coming up. Beyond today was about land uses on the Boulevard. We'll be looking, really focusing in on the neighborhood at our next workshop. So again, thank you all of you for coming out tonight, and I'm just going to pass the mic quickly to Mario so that he can adjourn the meeting.
Okay, thank you. This was very instructive for the commissioners. We were very glad to be here and hear directly from you all your real concerns. And I was very interested in the balance between the no's and the yeses, because that speaks directly to zoning. And so I hope that you will all come back when we get into the housing parts, because housing really is fundamental. It's really the bedrock on which everything that we do is kind of built on in one way or the other. So I'd like to adjourn the meeting and see you at the next one.
Why are you giving it to me?